Hello! Welcome to Lord of Facts. I'm at the Java Whiskers Cat Cafe in Marylebone, London. Here you can enjoy a cup of tea and coffee in the company of many gorgeous balls of fluff. The cafe is a shelter for homeless cats, with all the cats and kittens being available for adoption. Let's face it, if you're a domestic house cat with a kind and caring owner who keeps you well fed, you've pretty much got one of the greatest lives of any living being on this planet. The life of a cat consists of eating, sleeping, more sleeping, and just general mucking around. It's a wonderful existence. But how did cats come to live like this? Well fed and pampered, with human servants willing to see to their every need. To find the beginning of our relationship with cats, we can go back 12,000 years to 10,000 BC. At around this time, we stopped being hunter-gatherers and settled along the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in the Fertile Crescent. We began farming and storing grain. The grain would have attracted mice and rats, and the mice and rats would have attracted wildcats. These grain-feeding rodents would have been a big nuisance to our prehistoric ancestors, and so we would have formed a bond with the native wildcats in exchange for their pest-destroying abilities. The oldest evidence of human-cat companionship can be found from a 9,500-year-old grave on the island of Cyprus. This grave contains a man buried with an 8-month-old cat. Cyprus is an island with no native wildcats, and so it's most likely that cats had already been domesticated at this time. Because getting a wildcat to cross the ocean without scratching and biting would have been extremely difficult. Getting a domestic cat to do anything is hard, let alone a wildcat. Fast forward several thousand years later, and we get to the biggest cat lovers in history, the ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians worshipped cats, viewing them as divine and supernatural beings. Evidence of their fondness for cats can be found in their artworks, hieroglyphs, jewellery, and statues. The crime of killing a cat was punishable by death, and when a cat died, it was custom for the cat's human family to mourn by shaving off all their eyebrows. Dead cats were mummified and buried, either with their owners or in giant cat cemeteries with millions of other cats. Cats were likely worshipped for the way they took care of nasty vermin like rats and mice, in addition to stomping out poisonous snakes and scorpions. Cats would travel on the ships that cruised the Nile, killing any snakes that slithered on board. Egyptian societies also forbade anyone from exporting cats to other parts of the world. Smugglers couldn't resist the challenges, risks, and rewards associated, and so decided to export them anyway. The Phoenicians sold cats to rich families all throughout the Mediterranean. The epitome of Egyptian kitty mania has got to be the various cat goddesses they worshipped. They had a trio of feline goddesses called Bastet, Maftet, and Sekhmet, who embodied fertility, justice, and power respectively. Bastet is the best known of these goddesses. It was common to wear cat amulets in ancient Egypt in order to evoke Bastet's blessing, and temples dedicated to Bastet could be found all throughout ancient Egypt. These temples would house and care for large numbers of cats. Ritualistic sacrifices of cats and kittens would take place at these temples, an exception to the no-killing cats law. The most prominent of these cat temples was located in the city of Bast. Every spring, millions of people would visit to celebrate various Bastet festivals, the most popular and well-attended in ancient Egypt. The festival of Bastet went on for many thousands of years, until it was banned by the Roman Empire in 390 AD. The ancient Egyptians aren't the only culture to have cat goddesses or cat-associated goddesses. The Roman goddess Diana and her Greek equivalent Artemis both had cat companions and could transform themselves into a cat. Another feline-associated Roman goddess was the Roman goddess of freedom, Libertas. The Romans associated cats with freedom and independence, and so statues of Libertas would often have a cat at their feet. The Norse goddess Freyja is also associated with cats. Freyja rode a chariot pulled by two blue-grey cats called Beagle and Thragle, who were gifted to her by the god Thor. Vikings would leave out milk for Freya's cats, in the hope that their crops would give good yields if she passed through their fields. The Romans and Greeks also had an appreciation of cats in general. When the ancient Greeks discovered cats, they replaced weasels as the dominant form of pest control. Whilst Egyptian art portrayed cats as godlike beings, Greek and Roman art depicted them in a more mundane way, doing regular, everyday cat things. The Romans also introduced cats to Britain when they invaded in 43 AD. Thanks, Romans! Many centuries afterwards, cats continue to be held in high regard. However, this all started to change during the Middle Ages. In the 13th century, cats began to fall out of favour and were about to experience centuries of persecution at the hands of the Church. This began in 1232 with Pope Gregory IX. Pope Gregory heard rumours of a devil-worshipping cult that brought a statue of a black cat to life using dark magic. In response to this, he wrote a papal bull called Vox in Rama, in which he condemned such devil worshippers. Although this papal bull didn't specifically order the killing of cats, it did plant the idea of cats being associated with Satanism into medieval people's heads. The Church encouraged the linking of cats with the devil as part of an effort to demonize earlier pagan practices and beliefs, many of which involved cats. Medieval Christians also believed that God had given them dominion over all the animals of the earth. Because cats refused to be controlled or domesticated, they must have been servants of Satan. It was thought that heretics worshipped cats and kissed them right on the bum. Things got much worse for cats in the 15th century, when the first witch trials took place. During the witch scare of the 1600s, thousands of women and many cats were condemned for witchcraft. Witches were thought to ride on cats to go and meet the devil and transform themselves into cats, lurk in the shadows and cast spells, in addition to biting and scratching babies. Black cats had it especially bad during this time. When the Salem witch trials took place in the late 1600s, black cats were burned alongside the women accused of witchcraft. The only thing that could save a black cat was if it had a single strand of white hair somewhere on its body. This was known as the angel's mark. Many black cat superstitions around today come from this dark age for cats. Superstitions around black cats differ depending on where you live in the world. In the UK, it's considered good luck if a black cat crosses your path, whereas in North America and continental Europe, black cats are considered bad luck. In many countries, black cats are considered bad luck and white cats are considered good luck. Black cat superstitions can also be very specific. In Italy and Germany, it's believed that if a black cat jumps onto the bed of a sick person, that person will die. If you're a single woman in Japan, it's thought that you'll attract better suitors if you own a black cat. In Scotland, seeing a black cat in your doorway is good luck. And in Ireland, a black cat on the porch signifies good fortune. Black cat superstitions are silly at best, and at worst, an excuse to harm poor innocent animals. Not only are black cats, and cats in general, not bad luck, there are actually many ways that you can benefit from being a cat parent, aside from just their cuteness. The sound of a cat's purr can strengthen your bones and heal damage to the body. Owning a cat can also be good for your mental health, reducing feelings of stress, anxiety, and loneliness. This has the added benefit of lowering your risk of developing heart disease. Children that grew up around cats are less likely to develop allergies in later life and will have stronger immune systems. And because of a cat's strong sense of smell, they may be able to detect early signs of cancer and alert you to them. Dating profiles of men who have cats or other animals in them have been rated as more attractive by women. Perceptions of cats started to improve during the Enlightenment in the late 17th century and throughout the 18th century. It would take until the 19th century, however, for cats to return to their former glory. One key figure in the rehabilitation of cats was Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria was a huge lover of animals, especially cats and horses. In 1837, the SPCA, or Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, was set up, and 3 years later, in 1840, it was given a royal patronage by Queen Victoria, becoming what is now known in Britain as the RSPCA. Because the monarchs were the trendsetters of that era, Queen Victoria expressing a love of the little fluff balls meant that it was suddenly fashionable to like cats. In Victorian times, cat shows and selectively breeding cats became popular. In 1871, the first ever cat show took place at the Crystal Palace in London. It was common to keep cats as show animals in the 19th century, and cat owners were encouraged to keep their kitties well groomed. In addition to Queen Victoria, the artist Louis Wayne also had an influence on people's perception of cats. Wayne painted many paintings of anthropomorphic cats, which began after a black and white stray kitten called Peter came into the life of Wayne and his dying wife Emily. Peter comforted Emily while she was dying, and Wayne started painting cats to cope with his grief. Wayne's artworks appeared in many periodicals, books, postcards, journals, and adverts. Wayne also dabbled in animated films for a brief time, creating the first ever cartoon cat called Pussyfoot, which sadly flopped, in addition to drawing kaleidoscopic images of cats and being the president of the National Cat Club. In the 1930s, the spaying and neutering of cats became common, and in 1947, Ed Lowe invented cat litter. Finally, let's fast forward to today. Here in the 21st century, we live in a new golden age of cats. Unlike with dogs, domestication hasn't changed cats very much. Our furry friends are still wild animals at heart, refusing to do what anyone tells them to. The internet has allowed cats to regain their godlike status. Around 50% of traffic on the internet comes from cat content, and many cats are internet stars and celebrities. I'd say it's better than in ancient Egypt, as killing cats to appease a goddess is considered wrong. Thanks for watching.